Skibba intro.
What's up, YouTube? Thedagem here with a new series of videos for you. I'll get back to knife collecting soon enough, but for now, I've been asked by a friend to start a series on how to be a good counselor in Friday the 13th. And this will be my first video of the series. And today, we're going to talk about bear traps. With a ton of new players in the game, I feel it's a good topic to go over at this point, as I see a ton of crappy bear trap work, and also, there are a few things you can do with bear traps that most players don't bother to do, and other things you can do that some players don't even realize is possible. In fact, I get called a cheater and a teamer all the time because of what I do with bear traps, and no, it's not because I'm a troll. It's because I literally set every trap I come across, and you should too. Here is an example of a poorly placed bear trap. People by now should know to close and lock all the doors. And they know that if they place a trap behind the door, Jason would have to step in it to come in the cabin. But you have to place it effectively or Jason can just walk around the thing. Look at Jason just walking around this trap as if it doesn't even matter that it's there. The only thing you're going to catch with this poorly placed trap is another counselor. Some tutorials will show you to place the bear trap outside the door. And yeah, you can do this, and it works well. Jason has to step in it to even begin chopping the door down. But when I think of people doing this, I think of how much time it must take to do. And I feel my time is better spent fixing items and escaping. Think about this. To do this move, you have to go into the cabin, get the trap, lock the door, climb back out the window, set the trap, climb back in the window, and continue searching the cabin. What a waste of time. If the bear trap is the last thing you do when you're leaving, just take it with you to the next cabin, because at the very least, you'll still have to go back inside after you set it to get a weapon. Setting the trap outside, while it makes sense, takes far too long in my opinion. There's a better way. Other tutorials will tell you to open the door and set the bear trap in the doorway, and then shut and lock the door. I see problems with this approach as well. Firstly, it takes more time than my method. I typically don't use the doors at all because it's slower. If I use the door, I have to open it, close it behind me, and lock it. If I use the windows, I create myself an escape route, and the door is already closed, so I don't have to do that. I just run up and lock it. If then I come across a bear trap, what? Do I unlock it, open the door, set the trap? Hell no. It takes too much time. Plus, it's very difficult to get it centered correctly, and far enough outside the cabin so that you don't step in it when you try to lock the door. No thank you. This is dangerous, ineffective, and it takes too much time. The way to set a bear trap is to use your left shoulder. Run along the wall with your left shoulder and set the trap after you've taken a half a step past the door frame. It will be smack dab against the door and in the center every single time. You climb through the window, lock the door, get the trap, and set it. It's the fastest way to set a bear trap. It'll be in the center where he can't avoid it, and you're back to doing whatever you need to focus your time on. Look how effective this is. It takes no time at all. You can pick the counselor bear traps without a knife too, and this takes very little practice to get right. Concede to lose and die 3 or so matches. Find a cabin with a bear trap, and practice this until Jason finds and kills you. I'd bet you could get this trick down as well as I can do it in about 50 tries or less. That's all it's going to take. Sometimes there are items next to the door, like a bench or a coat rack or something. It's harder to do this method when those things are there because you can't run along the wall with your left shoulder. You can still do this move though, you just have to position yourself correctly. It takes a tad more time, but it can be done, and it should be. Here's an example of how fast I can set the trap. Listen, Jason is following me into this cabin. He takes the time to break the window I jumped into, but that gives me enough time to lock the door and set this trap. It's that quick. By the time he breaks the window and walks to the door, I've already locked and trapped it. Okay, so you can set a bear trap behind a door. Good shit, Thedagem. Now what? Well, first of all, remember which cabins you've done this in. Bear traps are a great way to stall Jason when you need some stamina. Use these houses as spots to run to in the endgame when you need a few extra seconds to catch your breath. The bear traps don't do much if you don't put Jason in a position to step in them. Take a bear trap with you. If you've ransacked a cabin, especially a smaller one with one door and maybe 1 or 2 windows you can crawl in and out of, don't trap that cabin. This cabin's a death trap. Take the trap with you and put it somewhere useful instead. You don't have to just trap the doors either. You can trap the car or the phone too. Wait, what? Trap the car? You teaming piece of crap, why the hell would you do that? Well, the answer's simple. So Jason can't trap it. I learned this move from a YouTuber named Folding End. I suggest you check out his channel. It's very good. I'll put a link to it down in the description. If you trap the car with a counselor trap, any counselor can pick the trap without a pocket knife. It just blocks the item from being trapped by Jason. Watch here. Jason can't trap the phone because my bear trap is there. Now, I did this in a private match so I could collect the footage, but I do this all the time. I'm just never around to see it. Jason has to step in this trap in order to put his down. This does a few things. Firstly, it wastes his time. Secondly, and hopefully, Jason sees this trap and thinks, oh, there's a troll. Well, damn, I don't have to trap this now. It's already trapped. Somebody beat me to it. I can save a resource. This is the best case scenario, but it does happen. Jason has to step in the trap to put his down. This helps get the mask off. It deals damage to Jason. You're now one step closer to a Jason kill. When Jason steps in the trap, you get the trapper notification on your screen. You now know that wherever you place this trap, Jason probably put his down, so you'll need to come prepared with a pocket knife if you want to complete that objective. This could make you change your mind about which car you run the battery to, and it tells you where Jason is. How is that not useful? All a counselor has to do is pick the trap before they start the repair. Sure, this takes extra time, and my first tip was all about saving time, so now I'm a hypocrite, right? Maybe, but this trick can certainly be useful. I do it a lot, and you can even reset the trap behind you to give yourself a block from his grab if you like. I don't do this too terribly often. I usually just take the trap with me and use it somewhere else. Like the barn on Higgins Large. Higgins Large starts with 3 traps in the barn. There's usually one up at Higgins Camp too, which isn't too far away. You can trap up a stall or two and climb in and out of a window to buy yourself a few minutes. I do this a lot when I call the cops and just need to wait for them to show up. It's fun. Even if Jason shifts past the traps into the stall, he then has to morph or step in them to get out. So you've either wasted 2 of his abilities and he has to wait for them to recharge, or you've dealt damage and collected some trapper points. This is an awesomely effective means of survival. And the last thing I want to cover, morph traps. Do a match in the offline bots and use Sackhead. His morph respawns super fast, and you can morph to common spots in the game. Take a look at where you land and memorize it. Then, when you're a counselor, put your bear traps there. If Jason morphs to the car because he hears it starting, he's trapped, and you're home free. His morph won't come back quick enough to use it again before you escape, and by the time he gets out of the trap, his shift is essentially useless because you're too far away. So that's it. Bear traps and Friday the 13th. There's other stuff you can do with these too, like exploit glitches, but there's other tutorials out there for that if that's the kind of player you want to be. I hope you found this useful, and if you learned something, hit that like button for me. It helps the channel grow so I can teach more people tricks like this. If there's a topic you think would make a good video, leave a comment, and I'll get around to it. Thanks for watching my video, you guys. Hope to see you on the game soon. Till then, stay safe out there. Cheers, and happy Friday.